What's up, it's Nez, and hello everyone, welcome back to the letter. Last episode, Luke had his own run-in with the ghost, finally, and now he's seeing shit. Well, the kind of shit we've been seeing for 30 or so episodes. I didn't get any sleep, not a single wink. I was so busy jumping at every shadow and worrying about waking with a knife in my chest. Or not waking at all, even when Hannah wakes in spite of a mild fever and goes downstairs for breakfast, I stay in bed, thoughts of poisoned food running in my head. The rain that has started sometime during the night doesn't help the mood. Okay, maybe it helps a little. The strange sunny weather has been nice and all, but for it to return as it should feels like a good sign of things to come. Perhaps things will settle back to normal and the crazy drama that has gone on lately will die down. I would hate to be caught unaware in this rain. And with how it looks outside, it seems that the weather is making up for all the sunny days it's given us with the good old-fashioned downpour. The rhythmic pitter-patter of the rain fills the early morning silence with a steady beat. Thank goodness I don't have to be anywhere in a hurry today. I would hate to be caught unaware in this rain. With how it looks outside, it seems that the weather is making up for all the sunny days it has given us with a good old-fashioned downpour. Okay, repeated line. It does let up within a quarter of an hour, however, a day beginning with a cloudburst like this, locals usually take it as an immediate sign. Luxborn's abysmal weather is back, likely for good. I hope they did a damn good job fixing this place because I'd rather not deal with leaky roofs. I don't like the idea that the realty did a horrid patch job with the place. Well, Hannah technically paid millions for this place. It better live up to the price the realty company sold it for. Roof problems aside, she's going to be a definite downer about this as well. She hates the rain, then again, who actually does? What sane person would like it when 9 out of 10 days consist of nothing but dark, drab, and gray skies and piss weather pouring from the heavens? And she was just starting to enjoy the sunlight. I will have to get up and about eventually, that is a given, but I'm not too keen on seeing or talking to Hannah before she leaves for the hospital. Or eventually in a few days' time, this bloody house. Kylie won't like it if she comes here only to find me in a bad mood. You would dare to rouse me from bed. Being able to keep their jobs is incentive enough. I trust that they realize that now is not a good time to force me into anything. Maybe I can just get an hour or two of sleep before Suarez drops his brat off the mansion steps. If only. But as always, somebody has to be a buzzkill.
Are you really going to stay in bed all day?
Yes, Fräulein.
What do you want?
You must have been really rattled by what happened yesterday. If you need to talk about it, I am quite qualified in that regard.
And you aren't even the slightest bit bothered? Truly? Not even the slightest bit worried?
You're even more worried about an assassin than a ghost. Good luck.
I was worried. But I realized that it's not my life in danger, is it? My worrying will not help matters. Neither will yours.
Loath as I am to admit it, he is right. Still, it's more frustrating when he doesn't give me time to concede this point.
I know you two aren't getting along.
Nosy bugger.
But you should at least see the madam off before we leave. Think of her as a business associate if you must. It would not do to part on bad terms.
It's far too early to deal with your nosiness.
That's none of his business, none of it. If he remembers this place, he'll drop it. I don't want to talk to Hannah, not now when I'm high-strung and paranoid. This whole thing is a bloody mess with everything going off at once. I'm afraid that with our troubles, I will misinterpret anything she might say or do. That just make the whole thing worse.
Are there any updates about the woman?
Being in the dark has me on edge. Information, any at all, may very well help me in calming down.
I've already briefed security about her, and more from the agency will be arriving tonight. But they haven't seen anyone fitting the description.
Really? Not even in the family photos plastered everywhere?
So you have nothing then? Fat lot of use you guys are. What do I even pay you for? Do me a favor. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on your way out.
Well, there is something. It's about McCulloch.
She's missing. Can anyone blame me if I show the tiniest bit of interest? She's still not done with the house, and she's a nice enough woman. Plans to go back to sleep are gone.
I called her secretary about taking the day off. He hasn't heard from her over the weekend.
She's in the dungeon.
She's probably passed out after enjoying a pint or 2 or 10 in a bar somewhere. She's an adult. It was the weekend. She's allowed to disappear and not think about work. Fuck. I wish I was passed out after a night of drinking. He does know that mobiles are a thing.
That's all well and good, but she's not answering her mobile either. Mr. Parker will be filling a missing persons case with the police if she doesn't turn up today.
Certainly someone must know where she is. Sabs are kept without fail on people who come to work with me. Background checks and constant surveillance until they've finished their contracts with the rights. Some would say that it's all a bit over the top. But I can't be too safe. Too many want me dead.
What about one of ours? Has anyone seen her? She's pretty hard to miss with how tall the woman is.
The last anyone has seen of her was here, the morning of the party. Your housewarming party.
That isn't good news.
It wouldn't do for the police to hear of this, and to suspect.
It's of little import that I can easily prove my innocence. It's all a matter of principle. Because even the accusation of misdemeanor should not stain my reputation, although maybe it is a bit too late to hope for a squeaky clean one. You've never had a squeaky clean one. Besides, it'll be such a hassle to have the police poking about the house looking for a body that doesn't exist.
Now, if we're done here, I'd like to go back to sleep and...
Tio Luke? Tio Luke? Where are you?
Well, the munchkin's here. Well, there goes any plans of grabbing some shut-eye. Rolling over in my stomach, I can only scream into my pillow.
Of course, of course. Ugh.
Tio Luke? Did you set your phone down? Tio said you could always use your indoor voice when you're on visitors.
Johans, distract her.
Oh, look, it's time for me to go. Have fun with your little play date. So long, farewell, and auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
No, Johans, don't you turn away from me. Keep her busy for an hour. Come on!
I have to press my face against the pillow once more to suppress a groan. You just can't get loyal help anymore.
Hello there, little Fraulein. Your uncle is just upstairs and will be down in a moment. He is super excited to have you today. I hope you're well rested and ready to play a lot.
That bastard. I'll be down in a sec, Munchkin. Let me just...
Change into a fresh shirt, brush my teeth, fix my hair, bemoan my very existence. Wish I was anywhere else in the world right now. Don't get me wrong, Kylie is a great kid. Wonderful, better than most brats her age. But handling a tyke is the last thing I want on my agenda right now with this whole Hannah business. Fortunately, I'm well versed in how the world works. I've long learned that the show must go on no matter what hurdles come my way. So I set to preparing for the day. Running a comb through my hair is just divine and simply makes me feel more human. That hair is disgusting, though it isn't as bad as it was when I was a child. With how expensive a trip to the barber's was, I often had to grow it out until mother had time to cut it for me. The curls and tangles were simply horrid. Why, I was even mistaken for a little girl because of that. It certainly doesn't help that I was named Lucille. You know what, the same exact thing happened to me when I was a kid. A freshly pressed shirt isn't enough to chase away the last signs of sleepiness. The feel of crisp and clean cloth in my hands is a clear marker to the start of the day. Smoothing down my suit and my hair with a sigh, I steel myself for the horrors. The horrors that come with taking care of a child.
Good morning, Tio Luke.
Hello, Munchkin. Speak of the devil and she shall appear. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, Kylie grins up at me as soon as I open the bedroom door. She swings a backpack she's clutching, hitting my leg in a show of impatience and looking entirely unapologetic for it.
Did you just wake up? Oh, tell me you forgot. It's our playdate today.
I doubt I'd forget. Kylie's visits are a frequent enough thing that they've found a way into my schedule. They're supposed to be visits to her godmother. But we can't pick who a child gets along with. So long as I'm not busy, her father can drop her off for the day. Which is all well and good for me if it makes Suarez focus on the work I've given him. Besides, she's a bright child, tolerable, kid's got a good head on her shoulders and can get pretty mature for her age at times. Of course, they have to thank me for that. Her parents can take partial credit, but Hannah and I have been there for this kid since she was just a small babe. Why, I can still remember the first time I saw her. It was during her baptism. The only reason I was there was to accompany Hannah, who has just been named godmother. She was such a tiny thing, not even a year old, and swaddled in her mother's arm in white cloth. It was the first time I really saw an infant up close enough to hold one at least. It had been terrifying to be given a little child to carry after the whole water ceremony. I've never done so before that, to hold a tiny life in my hands. I could have just dropped her on her head and this little tyke before me would have stopped existing then and there. But the child just smiled at me, babbling nonsensical words as children do, and clinging to me even as I tried to hand her off to Hannah. She had thought it hilarious and adorable. My suit had been a mess and I was nearly an anxious wreck by the time I handed her back to her mother. Yet it was pleasant too.
Of course I didn't, you little rugrat. I just had to take care of something before you arrived.
Really? Well, I guess that's fine. As long as you told me for work like last time.
Really? Now why don't we go back down and have breakfast in the parlor?
I already ate at home. Papa made one of his tortilla de patatas. He wouldn't let me leave until I finished every bite.
Ah, the Suarez's infamous tortilla de patatas. Those things are a hazard. You can probably use one of them to bludgeon someone into submission with how huge they are. It's a miracle Kylie can still be so energetic. I had trouble staying awake the first time I had one. Speaking of staying awake...
Well, I need some coffee in me at the very least. But if you'd like, you can jump straight to dessert.
Yes, dessert, please.
It's easy enough to manage Kylie with a promise of sweets, thankfully. The hard part is managing her before she gets the sweets, because I nearly have a heart attack when the kid races down the stairs. Just the thought of her slipping and breaking her neck is enough to make me rush down after her.
Oh, slow down, the food isn't going anywhere.
The food is going somewhere. In my tummy.
Jesus fucking Christ. Children.
Oh, you act like a child every single chapter. With a shake of my head, I usher Kylie towards the parlor and order a maid to bring her food for us. Whatever breakfast there is, along with a cup of coffee for me and an ice cream for Kylie. But I can't leave the kid alone for too long unless I want her to turn the other room into a slaughter ground. Due to my expectations, I've only left Kylie alone for a few minutes before she's already made herself comfortable. The stuff from her backpack has been left scattered across the room, from coloring books to crayons and toys. She's well equipped to amuse herself with no trouble, though I can certainly breathe a little easier if she won't bring her doll along every time she visits. Narcissa or Sisa is a creepy little bugger. It doesn't help when Kylie left her during one. Finding the thing at the bottom of the stairs staring at me at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning is a memory that won't be leaving me anytime soon. Even now it stares at me from where it's seated. I'm wholly tempted just to throw the thing into the fireplace and bash it from whence it came. I can buy her a prettier doll, a better toy. I will break it, find a way to get rid of it if it wasn't for Hannah and if only Kylie isn't so attached to it. The thing is some antique doll she found for the brat's 6th birthday, one of a kind. My darling Hannah loves her, so... And Kylie does try to be a good goddaughter, but she just can't keep her interest long with the wife. It's not something that Hannah does wrong on her part, she does try so very hard, it's just that she doesn't quite know how to really handle children. She's never been around other children when she was young, surrounded by protective adults who cater to her every whim and worried about her safety every minute. When she isn't able to keep up with Kylie, her first instinct is to be strict. Impose rules on the child, treat her as if she's made of a spun of glass, like every movement might break her. I at least have some idea about being around street kids. I know the games they've played and how they think. I know that scraps and skin knees are all part of childhood. Even with how I grew up, I had the time to be a child and not some sheltered heiress. With Kylie? As behaved as she can be with her toys and her books and arts, she has to use up all her energy somehow. To run around the playground and make a mess in the mud or to even fake wrestle for a short while, let her be a child when she wants, I say. If it becomes too much, just bribe her with sweets or ship her back to her papa. Problem solved. Unfortunately, Hannah isn't quite up to those sort of things most of the time. Thinking it'll spoil the child, it turns the whole playdate awkward every time. Taking the last seat left, I pluck one of her coloring books from the table to see it filled with dinosaurs. Not exactly what I expect for a little girl, but doesn't hurt anyone. If she wants to play with dolls and cars or dolls with her cars, what do I care? She wants to put dolls' tutus on mall cars even.
Oh, this is a new one. The last one you had was filled with horses, wasn't it?
Those were ponies, Tio. They're much cuter than horses. But we went to a dinosaur zoo, and it was awesome! Dinosaurs are my favorite.
I have no idea what that is, but it must be something. I'm only familiar with the T-Rex myself.
Yeah, they found, fossils of its claws. They're really long. They think the whole theory might be a bazillion meters tall, even bigger than a T-Rex. Sisa says it'll be big enough to eat all my classmates.
The fuck is with that face? She only laughs as I scrunch up my nose and grimace.
Takako says you're making a really funny face.
And yeah, here we go again with Takako.
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
I have to stop and look around, expecting one of the help to be there. The child does have a way of befriending just about anyone as long as she puts her mind to it. Yet the two of us are completely alone. Thankfully, she only finds my disturbed look as another funny grown-up expression. That might be a lot more problematic whether she plays with dolls or cars though. Both the thoughts of Sisa giving Kylie ideas and one of said ideas being massacred by dinosaur. Something I probably need to bring up with her father aside from work. But beyond murderous dinosaurs, creepy dolls, and imaginary friends, I find no trouble with Kylie. She's as energetic and precocious as a little tyke her age can be. She's an angel if she can only get comfy and settled in after getting her sweets. We tuck into our waffles as soon as food is brought in. Our waffles because she wanted her own plate with ice cream as soon as she saw mine. A fresh plate of berries is brought in as well, which really goes great with the rest of the feast as Kylie puts it. And if I indulge in the sweetness, I have a cup of black coffee to pair it off with. With our bellies full, Kylie grows content with just scribbling on a scrap of paper and calmly chatting about her week. She talks about her older brother Rowan and their parents, how they plan to go to Bloxland in Berkshire for a few winter holidays. She mentions Miss Pink, Rebecca, which I listened to with half an ear. Our initial meeting has been a mess, but I can't quite find myself to listen to stories about her teacher wholeheartedly, the phantom sting in my hands still itching. She talks of a sad man in the park and a new friend who likes to play hide and seek when she's not sniffing in the loo. When finally she finds nothing new to talk about, she goes back to her drawings. That'll change as soon as her stomach settles, of course, the calm before the storm. Because behaved as she is right now, I can feel the curiosity just radiating from her. There's a restlessness buzzing under her skin and a question on the tip of her tongue, as they often are with children of her age. But for now, I can take this piece with no complaint for however long it stays. Have fun with the crayons as well, at the child's insistence, even if I can't really draw. With Kylie using the black crayon, that leaves me with the blue one. I absent-mindedly start to draw a puppy to the best of my abilities. It's as I attempt to give the doodle dog another eye that Kylie breaks her silence.
Tio? Where did Tia go? I saw them leave when I got here.
She's going to a nice place where people can fix her up.
Tia didn't look so good.
I've been expecting a lot of different questions. The kid always has a bunch of them ready for me, but I can only sigh when she posed this particular one.
She's just going to the doctor's for a checkup.
And as kids go, there are follow-up questions.
And you didn't go with her?
We had a play date.
Well, you were going to be here, sweetie, so I had to stay behind.
So she's all alone? At the hospital?
Oh, no, of course not. Tia has your Hans and her maid and a guard. She's got plenty of company.
Yeah, but you're not with her.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say this kid is trying to make me feel guilty. Though I don't know if the bitter taste in my mouth is that or something else entirely. I really don't have the time to process what the emotion is as the brat opens her mouth again.
You should have gone with her to the hospital. Hospitals are scary, you know.
Exactly why I didn't go. I don't like hospitals, Kylie. That's all there is to it.
So you're not angry at Tia?
Why would I be angry at her? It isn't her fault she got sick.
I heard you and Tia are fighting. I heard that you might not be together anymore.
I have to stop her there. Sure, it's easy for people to jump to conclusions and presume that we might be fighting, no thanks to Rochelle. But it's not common knowledge that things have actually gone sour, and to put it in her terms, that we might not be getting together anymore.
Oh, well, where did you hear this from?
I heard it from a nice maid lady.
Who did you talk to?
But that's still no excuse. Not when she's sick. She needs someone to hold her hand, and bring her soup, and make her drink medicine.
I'm livid. Livid as one of my employees might gossip, and to a child of all people, who says such upsetting things to a child. But my anger dies out when Kylie starts to tear up. She holds it back in an effort to not seem so childish, I assume. Though I am honestly confused as to why such news would upset her so.
Oh, no. Look, Kylie, there's no need to cry.
I'm not going to cry.
Are you sure? You've got no reason to cry. Even if Hana and I won't be together anymore, you can still visit me and I can still visit you.
That's not the problem. Why don't you and Tia love each other anymore?
I still love her, Munchkin, and I'd like to think your Tia still does too.
I love her. I'm just a little shy at showing it. Yeah, that's your whole problem. A small part of me screams that I am not worthy to be your husband in the first place, no matter how hard I deny it. Perhaps in another time, another place, another me, I would have confessed that the whole world is nothing compared to her.
Well, why are you two fighting? You grown-ups are so stupid sometimes.
Why? Because I'm a prat, probably. Motioning for her to come closer, I wrap my arms around her and rub her back in an attempt to comfort the child. Only when I feel her tears soak into my jacket that I realize that there might be something else to her worries. I've heard Swartz is not getting along all too well with his wife as of late because of how busy he is with work. Really, I was wholly tempted to just brush off the question and say that it's a grown-up thing. I could just content myself in pretending that this isn't happening. But it seems like she needs to hear this. That just makes it all the more painful to try and explain this because I have to explain it not only for Kylie but also for myself.
Sometimes, people fall out of love. Or they think they've fallen out of love and need time apart. It's not necessarily a bad thing. They might be angry at each other, or they might feel sad. They need time for themselves to think about each other. to know if there is still love. Maybe they'll be back together again. Or maybe it's better for both of them to move on, instead of staying together and hurting each other pretending they still love each other.
There's nothing final, but here we are, at a crossroads where the wrong step might end up in a heartbreak. Anna thinks we need some time apart, but we aren't done just yet.
But yes, grounds can be rather stupid.
You're still gonna be my friend, no matter what, Tio?
Of course, my life would be less exciting without a little brat like you running around and making a mess of it.
You know what, ever since we've started the letter I've been hating on Luke, but it's only then that in this chapter I just realized that I can relate to Luke the most out of every single character in the game. He's probably the most complex character that's written into it. And I think it was wrong that I chose that Hannah should cheat on Luke for Zack. Guy clearly loves her. He's just a total ass. Ah, just like me.
And you better stay my friend, even when I get all old and wrinkly.
Kylie's shoulders shake in laughter as she pulls away and gives me a toothy grin.
You're already old! But don't worry. When you die, I'll burn you and put you in a jar so I can keep you forever! Just like they did with Abuelo!
My thoughts come grinding at a halt at her words, yet she goes on as if she hasn't said anything odd. Why, it almost seems like the tag is looking forward to my funeral. As if there is no confused expression on my face, she pulls back to her drawings, commenting on the state of the weird dog.
I think your puppy would look better magenta.
I don't think I can spend any more time with Kylie considering how high-strung I feel. So it's a good thing that Suarez came for her as soon as I've called. Though it is earlier than the agreed upon time, he voices no complaint. The bastard even has a look of relief as soon as they've left. Or at least I interpreted it as such, from where I've stood by one of the windows, not bothering to step out and greet the man. No doubt he still doesn't trust me around to spawn. Well, he has every right to be suspicious of me. I am a dangerous man after all. But to my chagrin, that leaves me with the rest of the day with nothing to do. Well, aside from picking up the mess Kylie left scattered about the parlor, to my immense relief, she remembered to take her doll home with her this time. But the same cannot be said of the crayons and papers littered here and there. Let me guess, we're gonna see a picture of Takako in the paper. First things first. I snatch my own doodle off the table and rip it to shreds, leaving no hope that it will see the light of day. The rest of the drawings, all Kylie's, remain unharmed as I collect the lot. Though they have been stacked neatly on the table before, they must have been blown about when I saw Kylie off. And there are plenty of them. From cats and cakes, colorful rainbows, and gardens, the child managed to make a lot during her morning here. There is one more that I have to fish out of the fireplace where it landed. Expecting to see another one of Kylie's masterpieces, I am instead greeted with something a bit more concerning. Ah, fuck. There is me, and there is Kylie. The two of us side by side, smiling as our stick figure selves stand in a nondescript field. That much I can ascertain without looking at the labels below the doodle's feet. But a third figure stands next to me in the drawing. A woman, with a face hidden behind a certain black. Takako, the writing under her supplies.
Takako says you're making a really funny face.
You know what, I knew it. I fucking knew it. I called it since the start of the game. It would be the ghost. Let's not play around and say that the game isn't entirely predictable.
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
The hairs on the back of my neck stand on end and I feel a chill go down my spine. A breath. That isn't mine. That has me turning around, expecting, hoping to see someone, anyone. But nothing. And that's when I hear it. Laughter. Sweet and merry laughter ringing from the ballroom. Thinking about it has my cheeks burning and my blood running hot, as if I'm being mocked. As I stomp towards the door, I have to stop myself from shouting up a storm. I expect to see some of the help dallying about, idle from their duties. Perhaps they thought they can slack off in their duties without a head butler around, and with my preoccupation with Kylie, well, they had another thing coming. But again, nothing. Nothing from what I can see. With a cursory glance at the very least, I roam around looking for near impossible hiding places, and still I am all alone. Yet I can still hear the laughter, that accursed laughter echoing about in the room, in my head.
Who's there? Show yourselves and show some respect to the master of the house!
Cold uneasiness settles in my stomach when no one answers. I stumble on my own 2 feet, feeling a wave of nausea come from nowhere. I have to put a hand against the wall to stay upright when the world shifts and pain explodes from behind my eyes. It takes every ounce of my self-control not to heave then and there. The only thing my pride allowed me to do then is close my eyes and attempt to alleviate some of the pain. Vague, unfamiliar images, dare I say memories not mine, flashes in my head, unbidden and unwelcome. Like a strong hammer strike to the head, threatening to crack my skull and split it in two. Whatever emotions they hold are muted. I'm nothing but a spectator. Still, its weight feels palpable. Though it doesn't take long for these sensations to get into my head, through my eyes and my ears, it creeps and buzzes in the places in between. Whispers and accusations fill every crevice of my head, ringing and echoing around like a terrible cause of tinnitus. They stare, gazes filled with judgment and disgust. Even before their beloved lady has spoken, she's already been condemned.
This horrid woman! I beg the court for justice! Who knows what this devil's bride is capable of? She has already bewitched my love, my betrothed. I just cannot bear to think of what she has done to him after. Or what else she may do to our people if we let her live. Blood taints this woman's hands, and I deserve to be repaid in kind for that which she has taken from me.
Well, fucking finally, we're learning about the lore. There's nothing for her but death, and she knows this. Her silence says as much. One after another, they come at me, an unending flood that threatens to sweep me away for what feels like an eternity. Each one a show of both joy and suffering for those who have called this mansion their home. Each new scene is like a hammer to the head, threatening to crack my skull and split it in two. I can feel every low emotion in the blurry images that presents itself in my head. I can feel a part of these like I've lived through them, though I know that is not possible. All their anger burns through me, though that much is evident, but the pain more so. And above all of it are the whispers. The voices calling, luring, until one image emerges in vivid contrast with the others. When there's a shout of joy, my eyes snap open, looking for the culprit. That's when the whole room just changes. Everything is the same, yet everything isn't. There are people everywhere, laughing and dancing. I should be concerned about them, but my mind finds it easy to dismiss them as they fade in and out of nothingness. Instead, I find my concentration drawn to a man and woman, though one can only call them lord and lady going by their clothes. And oh, just to see how happy the couple looks. Though the man's eyes are eerily blank, like he's not at all there, his face is familiar enough. In fact, they both are, but I can't quite place why. The two of them make for a pretty picture as they dance in the center of the ballroom. Even the Phantom's crowd's attention stays on them. It reminds me so much of Hannah and I during the early days of our marriage. The honeymoon years, they call it. We were happy then too, all smiles and their sunshine, even the normal dreary weather. Younger, we had less to worry about, or at least thought that way. I thought, wish we could go on even with all that I did and all I had to do. But life is a way of catching up. There has to be work to be done. Although we had to stay the loving perfect couple in public, I could not afford to look so weak. To appear tied down to someone else, to those who knew who I really am, I had to harden my heart when I have business, but it hadn't been always so easy to just switch that part of me on and off. I should be concerned about their intrusion too. Ask what in the bloody hell they're doing in my house, throwing a party as if they own the place. Ask myself how the fuck I didn't notice what was going on before, when the parlor and the foyer are both only a few doors away. There's a horrid feeling of envy. And though I have long accepted that I'm a jealous person by nature, I've never felt such a strong feeling of envy as I have now. They were happy for each other, these people, but Hannah and I. Envy turned into anger. Anger for something I could not have. But I have a feeling that yelling and screaming at them won't do much of anything anyway. None of the others have given me notice. I realize that this might not even be real. It dawns on me that these two are the people from the paintings, the ones all over the mansion. Which all makes sense. I don't think I'm imaginative enough to make this all up on my own. This must be a dream. Or a really horrible high. Just then, I can feel my eyes on me as I contemplate the absurdity of the situation, yet I find difficulty in trying to tear my eyes away from the two dancing. I manage, and I regret looking away. The woman from the garden stands beside me. I can hear her rattling breath, menacing and chilling. Everything in me screams to run, but something pins me to the spot as if she just looks at me, watching and waiting. The clamor of their voices fill the ballroom. Although they say such welcoming words, I do not feel comforted by the madness I'm experiencing. Their joyous voices turn sinister and foreboding to my ears. The chorus of people that shouldn't exist, threaten to overwhelm me, drown me even as I stand on dry land. The music still plays as the Phantom Quartet continues while I stand there, vulnerable and afraid, but the dance has already ended. And I'm afraid that I might just be tonight's entertainment. Attention is all well and good until bullets like this go down. These phantom people watch me, thousands of eyes scrutinizing, though they cheer for my return, cajole me to dance and join their merriment. There are eager hands all over pulling me in every direction, but they do not move me enough to remove me from the woman's gaze.
Listen. Can you not hear them as they welcome you home? Your kind. Our kind. You're one of us, my love. We are bonded by the blood we share.
Nope. Fuck this. Nope. If I thought the voices were overwhelming me before, it is nothing compared to how they are now. Their voices are loud, speaking in unison and echoing ever on in the spaces of my head. They welcome me back, as if I've always belonged, as if I was meant to be here in the first place. They call me all those titles and names that do not belong to me, and that man's face, the one with empty eyes, flashes again before me. Once, fleetingly. Like a new memory having burned itself into my mind. I have to struggle for air when I come back to myself after.
I'm not. This isn't...
The welcomes turned into screams at my protest, pained and desperate pleas for my help, telling me that it is my duty to stay. Telling me that I belong among them, to them. Gentle touches turn near threatening, the warning scratches and the baring of teeth by predators before they truly maim someone. My mouth goes dry as I struggle to speak some sense in this hallucinatory madness, but I don't get the chance as they drown out my voice.
Our lord. My prince.
Oh, I'm no one's prince. At her words, there is a compulsion to stay, though my heart races in my chest. The fear I should be experiencing refuses to register in my head. Mind and body war with each other, nearly tearing me in two. Oh, and you finally returned to us. The compulsion to walk into her arms is strong. Whispers in my head tell me to go to her. They say that she is safety, she is home and heart. We have been waiting for so long. But repulsed at these thoughts, I wrench away and turn with a small gasp. Without hesitation, I start to make a run for it. I nearly falter when an angry shriek pierces the air, inhumane and monstrous. I don't dare to look back, I just run. I didn't care if this is a drug-induced hallucination or not. Just run. Out of the ballroom. And out of the parlor. It's only then that I bothered to look back, hoping and praying to the god I scorn that it did not pursue me. I would have run all the way out of mansion too if someone did get in my way. I collide with a body much larger than mine and fall back to the ground, and spinning as I look up at the stained glass. Turning my head to the side replaces the colorful sight with a pair of shiny black shoes. Fatigue fills every inch of my being, making me refuse to get up. Meanwhile, a familiar head of ginger hair looks down at me in bemusement.
You really must look where you're going if you insist on running about. Do tell, where is the fire?
In the ballroom.
Oh, thank God you're here!
I do hope you don't have a concussion. Can you count backwards from 15 to 1 for me?
Oh, fuck off, you wanker! Just help me up!
I do not think insulting me if you do have a concussion is a smart decision. But no, really. 15 to 1.
That woman, she was here! I told you to keep an eye out for her!
The other man offers an arm and pulls me up to my feet then. But before I can storm off and pull him into the ballroom, he anchors me down with one hand on my shoulder and the other touching the back of my head.
No bruising or bump. That still does not mean that you don't have a concussion. If you are too lazy to count backwards, can you tell me your full name? Where are you currently?
We don't have... Lucille Mitchell Wright. And this is the Ermengarde bloody fucking foyer. But we don't have time for this.
You must make and have the time to make sure you are not broken in the head. I have already sent security to scour the whole house when I saw you running out of the parlor, Dummkopf. If the woman is here, they will have her. You will only be slowing them down if you plan to interfere.
When he points that out, I realize that there are guards starting to filter into the house as we speak, with some already searching in the nearby rooms. Armed and uniformed men go about in pairs, making it so that the house is in a flurry of activity. He lets go of me then, with the knowledge that I'm not going to keel over anytime soon.
I was hoping that you would be tired from dealing with the young miss on my return. Instead, you come running and hit your head. Such a troublesome boy. Shall I be carrying you to bed, too?
I can manage just fine on my own. Though I don't see how I can sleep until that woman is caught.
It'll be easier to keep you safe in your quarters. This is twice we've known the woman to break in. I think we can safely presume that you hold her interest.
He says it as a matter of fact in a tone that brook no argument. Not like I'll argue if it means I'm kept safe. And that was this episode of The Letter, everyone. It seems like we finally got a cursory glimpse at everything that's been happening and why. Takako is an obsessive murderous bitch of a ghost. That we already knew, but now we know why. Next episode I assume we'll be hiding out with Johans, but until then, my name is Nez and thanks for watching. See you all next time. Bye, everyone.